Okay, so we're going to review everything we did last time because we had low numbers last time, or should I say low number, singular. Okay, so last time we defined Rechilus, Lashon, and mini-shiur. So the Lashon was easy. That is degrading speech, even if it's true. Mini-shiur is also easy. That's degrading speech that's false. Rechilus was the difficult one. So we had two ways to translate Rachel. Don't go lo selech Rachel b'mecha. One is as a gossip monger, where Rachel comes from Rochel, meaning merchant. The other one was Rashi saying that Rachel comes from Ragel, which means spy. Okay, and Rashi held that that Rachel comes from Ragil because the merchant goes around like spying out. The Rambam does use Meragel, yeah. So we saw the Rambam who says in the Sefer Mitzvos, he gives two interpretations: lo tehe rach devarim lezeh v'kasha lezeh, and lo tehe kerochel matin devarim v'holech. So we didn't know what he meant. Don't be soft with words to this person and harsh to that person. So I found an answer. Oh, and also we noticed that doesn't show up anywhere else in the Rambam. So what does that even mean? So I found an answer, which is in the Torah Temima. Okay, he brings down the Gemara in Ksubos, Mem Vav Amud Av, Lo Selech Rachel Hare Zo Ashara LeBeistin Shelo Yehi Rach Lezeh V'Kash Lezeh. So first of all, this is an Ashara to Beistin, okay, not like the Rambam, not you like you would get from the Rambam that it's about you being harsh with this one and soft to that one. But now the question is like, what does that have to do with anything? So the Torah Temima explains in his footnote, Darish al derech remez v'darash rachil milashon rach. So it's a drush that is from the lashon of rach. V'darish kain mishum desamich lemitzvos mishpat dayanim v'hishtabus habali din k'mosh kasav lamala. So it's a drasha on the smichus, because the pasuk right before this says lo sasu avo b'mishpat, don't do iniquity in judgment. Lo tisa pnei dal, don't show favoritism to the poor. Velo sehadar pnei gadol, and don't honor the prominent. V'tzedek tishbot amisecha. So those are all about that the dayanim should treat the bali din equally. And then lo selech rachil b'mecha, don't go as a rachil, so don't go as a soft talker to Beis Din, saying like, don't like run up to the guy afterwards and like say, oh, I didn't really want to vote against you, So really, it turns out that has nothing to do with our Isser. Okay, and that's why it doesn't show up in the halachos of Lashon Hara. And this follows what the Yad Pshuta said, which is that in the Sefer Mitzvos, the Rambam is talking about how the Torah Shebal Peh treats the Torah Shebechsav and how Chazal talk about it. So even though he doesn't paskin like this, here, so that so functionally speaking, we can ignore that, okay? Mm-hmm. But what we did do is we tried to figure out, well, what's with the lashon of Meragel? He uses that, and he says it's Gorm Lahar Nefashos Rabos Misrael, and he says go learn from Dog Hadomi. Then his example was Zeh Shetoin Devarim V'Holech Mizeh Lezeh V'Omer Kach V'Kach Amar Ploni V'Kach V'Kach Shemati Alav Afal Pisha Omer Emes Harizeh Markavis Olam. So our question was, what? Just because I say so and so said something, then I'm destroying the world and it's usher, and I can't quote anybody anymore. So then we learned the story of Doeg Hadomi, and we saw that, Doeg's statements resulted in deaths, but the real Rechilus of Doeg was the fact that he omitted crucial details and imposed a narrative on the facts that completely incriminated Achimelech and all the Kohanim, when really that wasn't the case. So Doeg said, where was it? Doeg said, just scroll past it. I saw the son of Yishai come to Nov to Achimelech, the son of Achituv, and he inquired of Hashem through the Urim V'Tumim and provisions he gave him, and a sword of Goliath the Plishti he gave him. So we saw, I paraphrased, I think in Rambam Bekius, but in my Friday shiur for the women, I showed how and we did this, how he changed the order of what David did. First of all, he made it seem like David went to Achimelech's house personally, and he emphasized Ben Achituv because that was a loyal family. And he made it seem like David was asking Achimelech to consult the Urim V'Tumim to find out how to escape Shaul. And then he equipped him with food and gave him the sword of Goliath. But in reality, the big detail that he omitted was that David told Achimelech, I am on a secret mission from the king, and I need this because of that mission. So Achimelech thought that he was serving the king and that David was a loyal servant of the king, and he gave him the food before David asked this question, and he gave him a sword, not the sword of Goliath. And David wasn't going to Achimelech's house; he was going to the Beis Hashem. So that we said is really the essence of the Rechilus here, is that every statement of this is factually true, but it is presented in a manner and without context that leads to distortion. So based on this, here's how I want to define Rechilus. And I didn't say this last time because it wasn't clear then. And I actually reformulated it on the way over. Let's see if I can get it clear. Just a second here. So final tentative definition, okay, of Rechilus, which is like when I don't do this one, Johnny, when he's writing, there's like, final draft number 17, real version, like that kind of like, thing. So the final tentative definition of Rechilus, I would say, is selectively reporting about other people in a manner prone to harm. Okay, and what I mean by that is it's selective reporting, okay, which is taking certain details and not others, or crafting a narrative in how you do it. And it's about other people. It's not selective reporting. I don't think you can do Rechilus about like Roman history. Like if I just like tell you part of Roman, like, I don't know, or like biology. Like I think it's you have to be being Maragel. Hold on a second. It has to be in a manner prone to harm. And by prone to harm, I mean that either you're being careless with how it's being presented, or you're deliberately doing it knowing that the context is going to lead to harm. For example, Doeg knew that his report is going to be taken as incriminating to Achimelech, and he didn't stop it. And he did the killing himself, so he clearly had this agenda. But the reason why I'm saying prone to is because you can't just say selective reporting about people in a manner that leads to harm, because anything can lead to harm. You have to define the isser in some way where like you're engaging in a type of speech that is prone to this. If someone doesn't understand English well and like mistakes your word and it gets distorted and leads to harm, that's not your fault. Yeah, what were you gonna say?
The model went from modern day, it's fake news.
Fake news. yeah. Right. Spreading fake news. Right. Yeah. Right. The only reason I wouldn't want to define it that way.
Usually that term today means that in the news media will craft a narrative.
Correct. Right. Yeah. You don't mean it's false, like made up. Yeah. Correct. Yeah. Right. Yeah. Fake news is a good analogy nowadays. Yeah. Okay. So that I think that I'm comfortable with that understanding of Rechilus. And I do think that when he says it's Gorem Laharog Nefashos Rabos Yisrael, he's not just giving like he's not just giving actually I'm going to switch to the All Torah. He's not just giving like a far-fetched example. No, like you can really like ruin lives through omitting crucial context, in this kind of thing, Yeah. Okay. So now transitioning to Lashon Hara, I wanted to show you something in the Pirush Mishnayos that Yad Pshuta conveniently quotes here. So in the Pirush, Rambam wrote the Pirush Mishnayos before he wrote everything else. So this is really the Rambam's first description of Lashon Hara. Okay, so he says V'kimashi Yizkiru Lashon Hara b'chilek hadibur ha'aser. I think this is in the 116. So I think that might be the Lo Matazi Tov L'Guf El Shtika, maybe. So he says, Harim Mavaro, Azkirbo Miktas Tevir Chachamim, Vishabnei Adam Baze Ivaron Atzum. So people are in a tremendous state of blindness about this. V'hu ha'avira ha'chamura b'yoser, she Adam nichshel bo tamid. This is the most severe sin that a person constantly stumbles in. Especially what Chachamim said in Bava Basra, Kuf Samach Dalet Amud Beis, she'avak Lashon Hara ein Adam nitzal mimenu b'chol yom. No one is saved from the dust of Lashon Hara every day, which he'll define what that is in a second. V'halavai lo yihei Lashon Hara atzmo. If only that were true about Lashon Hara itself, meaning we stumble in Lashon Hara every day. Halavai was just avak Lashon Hara. V'lashon hara hu, now here's this definition, hu sipur migraos b'nei adam umumehem v'hashpalas adam Yisrael be'eze ofen she'yeh min ha'hashpala. So it is telling of the imperfections of people and their blemishes and the lowering of a Jew in any manner of lowering. Okay, va'afilu haya shafel, even if he is lowly, Kamosh Amar, as he said, Lefi she'in lashon hara she'yishaker aha adam v'yiyaches lo ma shelo asa. Lashon hara is not lying about a person and ascribing to him that which he did not do. Kizev moti shem ra al chavero. That's called slander or libel, right? That I was which one's which. That's called Well, one of them is I think libel. That's called slander. That's when you make stuff up. Libel is no, I don't. I gotta look it up. Libel is a false statement, and slander is just a negative statement, I think. No, okay, fine, it could be both. Okay, fine. So I don't know which one's which. Libel, yeah. Okay, so then he says, Ella lashon hara hu ginui ha'adam is degrading a person, v'afilu b'masav she'asa osan b'vadai, even regarding things that he definitely did. The guy who says it sins, and the guy who listens to it sins. Amru, they said, shlosha lashon hara horeges. Lashon hara kills 3. Ha'umru v'hashomo v'hashomer alav. The one who says it, the one who hears it, and the one who it's said about. V'amru hamakablo yoser min ha'umru. And it says the one who believes it more than the one who says it. V'avak lashon hara. Here's now avak lashon hara, which we didn't read in the Mishnah of Torah yet. What is the dust of lashon hara? Hu harimus b'mumei ha'adam mibli la'amram b'ferish. This is alluding to people's blemishes without saying it explicitly. Amar Shlomo b'misha marames. Shlomo says about someone who is alluding to this, v'hayos hamarames mare she'ino yodea ma shehivinu midvarav, and the alluder is indicating that he doesn't know what people are inferring from his words. V'shehulo niskaven l'kach, and saying that, and he doesn't intend this. He's intending for something else. Amar, he says, this is like a guy who wearies himself out, firing arrows, firebrand, arrows, and death. So is a person who deceives his friend and says, I was just joking. So in the modern thing, it'd be like a guy shooting a gun at a person and saying, oh, I'm just kidding, Upam, I never had to read that. Shavach, Shibech, Shavach, Echad HaChachamim, Kasav Shel Sofer Mesuyam. So there's one time where a Chacham praised the scribableness, bad with words today, the handwriting of a sofer, of a specific sofer. There's got to be a word for that. What do you call it? What do you call handwriting? Not penmanship. Calligraphy. Yeah, the calligraphy of a specific sofer. Sheheru lo b'mesiba gdola, that he showed him at a huge party. Umacha harav b'zeh, and the Rav objected to this. Sheshabach ksav oso sofer. He objected to the guy who praised the writing of the sofer. V'amar, he said to him, lo kalach mi lashon hara, stop your lashon hara. Rotzalomar. By praising him publicly, you're causing him degradation. There are people who love him and people who hate him. And then the guy who hates him, when he hears his praise, is going to say his degradation. So I always mention this whenever I go over this halacha. People take this too far because there's always someone in high school, when I'm teaching this in high school, who says, like, I heard it's lashon hara to say anything good about anybody. And that's just not true. It's saying, the Rambam codifies it in the Mishnah Torah, saying it's saying good stuff about someone in front of their enemies or in a place where they're likely to have enemies, and the reason why it's lashon hara is because you are like triggering the enemies, prompting the enemies to respond with degradation. But saying good stuff is not lashon hara, stam. This is a huge harchaka from lashon hara, which is interesting because he doesn't use that lashon in the Mishnah Torah. That he doesn't characterize as a harchaka. Lashon haMishnah lo nech. Yeah.
So lashon hara poem that will be said, or that he's told you saying it. And let's say I know there is enemies there, but they're also not from our show.
Right. It's a good question. You mean, is it connected davka to the avon, like the avera of lashon hara? Yeah. Or just the fact that it's going to cause the bad statements to be made? Yeah, it's a good question. I'm not sure. I mean, I would think that since this does have to do with a concern for the well-being of the person who it's said about, then it might also be about lashon hara if you're causing even non-Jews to say it. There's also a question of like, how far are you going to go with this? Like, like anytime I was just talking with someone yesterday about different forms of social media, and he said, anytime you say anything about Israel on certain social media platforms, you're going to get all this anti-Jewish hate,
Not all.
Yeah, right. I mean, it's not, probably all of them, So like, that doesn't mean that you can't speak about Israel on social media platforms. So the question is though, like, how much do you have to really care about this with things like that? No, but okay. First of all, we're going to see it does. Okay, but no, but like, let's say like I don't know. Let's say you post something about a public Jewish figure, and then some anti-Semite comes on and like says bad stuff.
Well, I think we don't care if they're not Jewish.
Well, that's what Yosef was asking about. If we care if they're not Jewish,
Well, we don't hear about saying about Jews.
Right, but this is where you're causing Lashon Hara to be said about a Jew. So yeah. So but regarding Eretz Yisrael, we'll finish this and we'll stop for today. He says, "V'lashon HaMishnah," and I was asking last time, does the Rambam quote this? And he did not quote it in the Mishnah Torah. He alludes to it, but here he says, "Lo necham gazar din al avasin b'midbar ala Lashon Hara," that the verdict was only sealed on our fathers in the Midbar because of Lashon Hara. Klomar inyan hameraglim, the meraglim shamar behem v'yotziu dibas aretz. It says that they slandered the land. V'amru aleihim hashalom, and Chazal say, "Uma elu shotziu shem ra al ha'etzim v'al ha'avanim bilvad nischayvu min ha'onesh mash nischayvu." If by slandering sticks and stones. Funny that you use that term in a sticks or stones context. Yeah, it did. Or at least caused the bones not to be buried in Eretz Yisrael. It made them liable for the owners that they were liable. So, koshkein if you speak degradingly about another person. Veloshen hatosefta al shlosha devarim nifraim hada min ba'olam hazeh ve'in lo chelik b'olam haba avodah zara gilui aros shfichus damim b'lashon hara keneged kulam. That is in the Mishnah Torah. We'll have to work on that tomorrow. V'amru b'talmud ne'emra b'avodah zara milas gadol v'hu amru ana chata ha'am hazeh chata gadola. It says by the Egel, this people has sinned a great sin. V'nemar gam ba'avon gilui arayos milas gadol v'hu amru ve'ich eseh hara'a hagdol hazos. It says also gadol by Gilui Ras. V'nemar gam ba'avon shlichus damim milas gadol v'hu amru gadol avonim minaso. That's by Kayin. My sin is too great to bear. V'nemar b'lashon hara milas gadolos. Rotalomar shu kneged shloshtan v'hu amru lashon mediberes gadolos. It says in chapter 12, tongue that speaks great things. V'dibru ba'avon hazeh ha'arur harbe me'od me'od. It's they spoke about this cursed sin a lot. V'talchis mash amru kol misaper b'lashon hara kafir be'ikr. They said anyone who speaks lashon hara is kafir be'ikr. Shneimar asher amru l'lashonim na'abir sefasina itanu miyadon lanu. He quotes that in the Mishnah Torah also, that they who say with our lips we will prevail. With our tongues we will prevail. Our lips are with us. Who is Lord over us? They said anyone who speaks lashon and Rambam says he went on at length to get people to stop speaking this way. So what I want to do tomorrow is go into just the memros that that the Rambam brings, which are the lashon hara. Equating to avodah zara gilui aros and shlichus damim, kafir be'ikr, and then killing 3 people. I want to understand those. Okay. Yeah, that last one's weird. Yeah, and the makabel yosarin amro. Okay, let's stop here for today. See ya.